everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm up with the next question of top 150 interview questions of LeetCode. So let's get started with the question. So what we have to do, we have to insert, delete and get a random value in O of one time. So what we have to implement a class randomized set in which we can perform three functions, that is insert, remove and get random, and we must implement these functions of the class in such a way that each function works in an average of O of one time complexity. So now let's read the description how our insert function works. It basically inserts an item val into the set if it's not present, and it returns true if the item was present, if the item was not present, and returns false if the item was already present in that set. So talking about the remove element, it removes an element from the set if it's present and returns true for the same, otherwise it returns false. And what about get random function? It returns a random element from the current set of elements, and each element must have the same probability of being returned, and it's always guaranteed that there is at least one element in the set whenever this method is called. So now let's discuss the possible data structures that we can use for implementing these functions. So now we have three functions, that is insert, remove, and we have something like get random, right? Okay, since we can only insert unique values from in the set, which we come to know that we can insert an item if it's not present, and if it's present we have to return false. So what we can do, we can simply use something like a set or a hash set for insert. Fair enough. So if we are using something like hash set or set for inserting, so obviously we will remove our data from set or hash set. And for generating a random value also, we have to search in this set or hash set. And in this way, if we try to insert a value in my hash set or set, I can insert it in O of one time. And to remove, we will simply just use the find function, and if it's not present, then it means the value is there in the set, and I will simply call my erase function, and it will erase or delete or anything in your choice of language. So it will basically remove in O of one time. So talking about get random, so getting a random value from set is a tedious process, and it will take O of n time. So two functions out of the three are working in O of 1, and one is working in O of n. So this is not the solution that we are being asked to do. So what I will do, so I can implement one more data structure apart from a hash set. I can take a list or a vector, which could actually help me to get a random value. So instead of traversing in a hash set or set, we can actually find out a random index from my vector where I'm storing all the values that I'm inserting or deleting, where I'm having all the values which are being inserted in the list, and I can simply find out a random value amongst those values, right? So now what happened is that I have actually achieved my get random in O of 1 time complexity. So now let me give you one example, but this will also not work. Why? So let's assume that I have a case where I have 5 values in my list in my vector v. Okay, and I have these many 5 values in my hash set. So suppose I think of removing 3 from my vector, right? So I think of removing 3 from my list, from my set, and so from set I will easily do the removal, and it would occur in O of 1 time complexity. But since I've already removed from the set, so I have to update my vector also accordingly. So what I will do, since I have to delete these values, the primary program that you all know, I will simply copy the next value at the index where my val is present, and I will keep on copying all the previous value backwards, and in this way I can delete my element. And copying all the values backwards is actually happening in O of n time complexity. So now what happened is that my insert is working in O of 1, get random is working in O of 1, and remove is working in O of n. So again I occurred in a situation where 2 of my functions are working and the third one is creating some issues. So why it's creating the issues? Because we are not able to track the index where my val is present. If we are able to track the index, what I can simply do is, this is a trick. So I can basically copy my last value which is present in the array to the index where my val is present. Okay, I'll simply copy this value at that place, and in this way my vector would have been 1 2 5 and 4 and 5. And what I will do, I'll simply remove the last element from this vector, and I could be able to get my random value. Oh sorry, I could be able to delete my value from the list, from my vectors, and that's done. But how to keep the track of this indices? So instead of using set, what I would recommend is use a map or a hash map, and in this we will be storing the elements in the key value format, right? So initially my key value format would have been, I will be keeping my elements which I'll be inserting as the key, like 1 2 3 4 and 5, and as the values of these keys I will be storing their indices 0 1 2 3 and 4. So since I have to remove 3, I can easily figure out the index where 3 is present. Okay, so I'll simply copy my last value at that index, and I'll be able to remove the last element from the V. But when I'll be doing all of these operations, just keep one thing in mind, that my last has shifted to some another index at which it was. So it has shifted to some another index, right? So what I will do, I'll simply update this index to 2. Okay, and then I'll be deleting this 3 from my map using the erase function. And yeah, we are done with this. So we are able to achieve insert in O of 1, remove in O of 1, and get random in O of 1. So fair enough. So we got a choice that we'll be using a combination of hash map or an unordered map and a list or a vector. So now let's discuss the dry run of one of the example that I've already quoted above. So let's get started with it. So yeah, so initially what's happening is that I'll be initializing my map. I'll be initializing my map and I'll be initializing my list. let me assume that I have some list of size X. Okay, so now what I'm thinking of inserting a 1 in the list. So I've inserted 1 at the last, and 1 is present at which index of the vector? It's present at the 0th index, that is, it is present at the first place. So I'll keep this record in my map. So what I will do, I will say, now I have to get a random value from these range of integers. So what I will do, I'll simply get some random index in this range. I'll call my rand function with the percentage of size, and I'll get my random values within this range which is 1. So the GetRandom's output would be 1 at this point. Okay, fair enough. So now let's talk about removing 2 from my array and my map. Is 2 already present in this array or map? No, so my answer is false. So I will move further in this. I've used all of these. So now let's try to insert 2 in the array. I've successfully inserted, and then I will update the index of this 2. Okay, now I will try to insert 3 in the array. I have successfully inserted, and now I will add the key value pair in my map, which is 3 is present at index number 2. Okay, so now let's try to again insert 2 in my array. The numbers written in the white are those which I have used for insert, and the green are those which I have used for remove, and the pink braces are those which I'll be using for generating a random number. Okay, so maybe I forgot to mention in the starting, but not an issue, I've mentioned it now. So now let's try to remove 2 from this. Okay, so my 2 is present at first index, right? I got my index as 1, where I have to delete 2. So what I will do, I'll simply copy 3 to 2. Okay, and my vector would look something like this, and I'll pop the 3 from my vector. And at the same time, what I will do, I will update the index of 3 to 1, and I'll remove this 2 from my map. Okay, fair enough. Where is my pencil? Okay, good. I'll update my indices as well, and my vector too. So now what I'll be getting, I have 3 and 1. Okay, so now let's try to generate some random value amongst these two values. So let's assume that I get a random value of 1 again. So because it's 1 or 3, it could get any random value. So I'm done with this random function, and now let's try to remove 2 from both our map and vector, since 2 is not present. So my answer is false. Okay, so I think I've discussed a major test case, and now let's move to the code of the problem. So let's discuss the code, right? What has happened? It's not working. Yeah. So what I did, I initialized two data structures, which is one is the list or a vector, and one is the unordered map or hash map. And now talking about inserting an element in the array and hash map, what I will do, I will simply check if my element is not present. If it's equal to end, I will simply push it to my array, and then I will basically update my map to value. I'll map my key value pairs, that is, I will map my value with the index of that value, right? And in this way I can return true, and I'm done with it. So talking about removing an element, so mp dot find val not equal to mp dot end. It means if I already have that val in my map, so what will I do? I will simply fetch the index of that value, and I will store my last element in some integer last. And now what I will do, I will simply update my index to last. Like I will insert my last value at the index where my value which I have to delete, I'll simply copy this last to the value where my value which has to be deleted is present. So fair enough. And now I will update the index, and so now I will update the key value pairing of this last with its index. Okay, I've updated it, and since all of the things have reached their correct position, I can simply use the pop back which happens in O of one time, and I can use an erase function which also happens in O of one time for map, and then I will simply return true. So talking about this get random function, what I thought is that I have to generate the random values within some integer range, whereas the values which rand function can generate are from minus 10 raised to power 9 to 10 raised to power 9. So it's a huge range. So rand can generate any number. But I have done a modulus with size so that all of those numbers which are in this biggest range can be cut short to that size in which all my elements are present. So I try to generate some random index, and with the help of that random index I will be able to find my random value, right? So that's all is there in the question. So I hope guys you have learned a lot in this video, and if you have, please do hit the like and subscribe button. And if you feel that, and share it with your friends, and if you feel that I've missed out something, please do mention it in the comments below. And if you have to talk to me about something which is other than DSA, like how to prepare for placements and referrals or something like that, you can connect with me on the platforms which I've mentioned in the description. And that's all from my side. Thanks for watching the videos. Keep watching and keep subscribing. And bye bye.